Did you hear that? That little tone just helps set the mood for the rest of this video, and just by being a soft background noise. Music is a massive part of cinema, TV, and virtually all entertainment media, including video games. Now imagine the huge power ballads and rock anthems that big budget games use to set their mood of pure awesomeness. Call of Duty doesn't play light, calming, relaxing music to get you in the mood to go in guns blazing. No, they play rock and techno mashups that get the player's blood pumping. This is the power that music has over us as the player in a game. It can make us excited, afraid, or courageous, so picking the music for your game is no small task. Music in video games is slightly different than music in other media. In most circumstances, a game soundtrack never wants to be noticed. They want to do their job and never be acknowledged. Now compare this to the booming scores of cinema that surround the viewer in noise to simulate confusion, excitement, and action, or anything else they can convey. Think about the tones in the film Inception by Christopher Nolan. The movie uses loud foghorn-like tones to immerse the viewer in the universe of confusion and mystery. Games work similarly in that they try to immerse you, but in most situations you're never meant to know. Games are an interactive media in a way that film will never be able to accomplish. The music needs to be able to dynamically change with the player and decisions that they make in the game. If the player is aware of the shifts in the music that take place, then the music's cover is essentially blown. In real life, there is no scary music that plays when something jumps out at you, so a player's immersion is dependent upon them being too immersed to notice all the little things that go into making that experience great. So let's talk about that word immersion. All designers strive for it and few achieve it. Immersion in relation to games is how involved in the game a player is. If a player is deeply concentrated on the game and feels as though they are in the world, then they're fully immersed. There are a whole bunch of things in the game that all add up to the player getting really into the game and being fully invested. The graphics of the game can pull a player into the universe visually, and the story of a game can make a player want to learn more about and explore the universe. Music is just another piece of the puzzle that makes a game immersive. Music's one of the most important too, because situational and dynamic music for whatever you do does not exist in the real world. It walks a thin line between ruining the player's immersion and enhancing it tenfold. Okay, so music can help set the mood and tone in a game, and it can help a player get immersed into the world. Music only does these things, however, when it's done really well. Bad music can hurt your game just as much as good music will help it. Games with bad soundtracks are not memorable, and they just don't stick in your head for days after playing. You want to have a catchy tune in your game for the same reason a car dealership wants to have a good commercial jingle. It won't let you forget it, or the game. So think about some of the old Nintendo classics like Mario and Legend of Zelda. If I asked any gamer, heck even most non-gamers, to hum a Mario tune, most of them would be able to do it on the spot with that classic old World 1-1 theme. Music is just a small piece of the puzzle that sets apart a classic and a failure in the game industry, so it's important to choose your music wisely. As of recently, indie titles have adopted catchy tunes that are reminiscent of the NES classics, but in big budget games there's another trend on the rise. Huge, sprawling open worlds with booming scores to back them up, to make a player feel a sense of wonder and awe at the immensity of the world. Game budgets have skyrocketed, and so have production values of AAA titles. To set the mood for players, developers use massive orchestras to set the mood for a game. Where they used to be limited to simple chords and notes, they now have unlimited freedom in what they can create to draw a player in. In the deity-killing epic God of War, these songs set the feel of skull-smashing action, and Halo uses a haunting choir to create a memorable theme that gamers will remember. This evolution in game music comes as a result of the evolution of games, as they become more epic and free for the player to explore. But nowadays, as a player, you can take the game at whatever pace you like. There's no timer keeping you back in most cases. Since developers have all but done away with timers, the music needs to adapt to the player's action in the game. And when the player can do whatever they want at any time, it's kinda hard to get that right. So pacing is a problem, but we can't simply do away with that kind of freedom in games, so we have to find a way to deal with it. A game could have algorithmic music that's created on the fly with what the player is doing, but a game can also switch between tracks that are created for different events. For example, if a player opens a menu, the music might switch to a calmer tune. So there's a couple different degrees and variations of dynamic music, but that's where the true challenge comes in, is picking how you'll integrate it into your game. Games have widely adopted using a milder form of dynamic music, but truly evolving music is still not in the mainstream games. Someday soon there will be games that utilize dynamic music to its fullest, and that will just be the next step in making more immersive games. So it's easy to stand back and point out what's hard about designing music for a game without getting in there and trying it for yourself. If you have any interest in music or games and want to gain more of an appreciation for what goes into making the newest AAA title, I'd say you should give some basic music a shot. Even if that is beyond what you think you can do, anybody can listen more closely to the music in his or her favorite game, and I would say you should too. So next time you're playing Fallout 4 or Call of Duty 27, listen to what's going on in the background. You might be surprised.